Frank. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw in here?
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
Well, where are we gonna party?
I don't know, somewhere.
Hey, we could go to the park.
Oh, no, we can't. The cops said they'd shoot us if we go back to the park. Yeah, and I ain't in no mood to go tonight.
I like death.
Greetings, ghouls, and welcome to Minute 50 of Do You Want to Party, the Movies by Minute podcast for the 1985 horror classic, The Return of the Living Dead. I'm your host, Troy, and we're being joined by a ranking member of SG-16.
Daniel. Wow, I haven't been SG-16 in a long time.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, what can I bring up from the past that would...
Which was funny because, funny story for that one was the going through the convention and somebody going to my ex, hey, Samantha, and her name was really Samantha. I laughed. Ha ha ha, very funny. Because we were trying to figure out how they knew her. And then it became the next day was, hey, Daniel, how do you know me? And it was like, oh, Jackson, right. I got hit too.
This particular minute is going to start with the group dealing with the situation and ends with the first grave being exited. So the group of six, Tina, Scuzz, Trash, Casey, Chuck, and Spider, are inside the warehouse of Unita Medical Supplies. Chuck and Spider have just put the last nails into the final and fourth wooden board to secure the doorway to the cellar closed. Tina and Trash are in full panic mode, the latter holding her hands to her mouth as she deals with the loss of her boyfriend. Scuzz tries to look stoic, a face of anger plastered on him. With clutched fists, Casey tries to decipher what to do next. Spider turns to face the group, asking for the next step.
What are we gonna do?
Chuck points out the location of their friend.
Hey, suicide's down there.
Scuzz quickly retorts about what happened downstairs.
No way, man, he is gone. That thing ate his head.
All the time, Trash slowly backs her way further and further away from the door, still covering her mouth. Spider harshly tries to quiet everyone as he leans towards the barricaded door. Realizing what he's doing, Chuck follows suit.
I don't hear anything down there, do you?
When Spider relays the lack of noise, Casey loudly announces the need to contact help.
Oh, we gotta call somebody!
Spider quickly questions her.
Who?
In the back, while crying again, Tina suggests the police, to which Scuzz spins around and wags his finger in a scolding maneuver, expressing his desire for that not to happen.
Hey, I don't want to call no cops. The cops are just gonna kick our ass!
Grabbing at his head, Chuck loudly relays that they need to abandon this place.
Just let's get out of here, okay?
Casey angrily repeats her earlier statement.
No, we gotta call somebody!
At that moment, Spider comes to the realization.
Wait a minute, where's Freddy?
And then Tina informs all about the situation when she arrived earlier.
He was gone. He wasn't here when I showed up.
Tina's last line is also the cue for Take a Walk by Tall Boys. While it's only the instrumental portion of the song, it plays for the next 28 seconds where it fades out. When Tina explains Freddy's absence, you can see the look in Casey's face that she is just remembering that it was Freddy she saw earlier. However, before she can relay that information to the others, the voice of the singer drowns out Casey's line as we cut to an overhead shot of the back of the warehouse, rain still pouring buckets. Tina and Spider, holding on to each other, lead the mad dash away from the building, headed towards the still open chain link gate. Scuzz is right behind them, with the duo of Casey and Chuck being almost neck and neck, and falling into the rear, probably mostly due to the lack of her footwear, is Trash. The camera tracks them from the building to the gate exit. Then, as they run up the empty street towards the cemetery gate, it also follows them. Thunder and lightning making several quick appearances. Rushing through the gates, barely slowing down, the group runs through the more than ankle-deep water-coated ground. Spider, Tina, and Scuzz choose one path around the raised grassy knoll where the Civil War-era cannon is mounted. Casey, Chuck, and Trash pick the other, which is inconsequential as they both come around to meet at the same point. Lightning strikes and thunder crashes as the group passes by the still-lit street lamp. We jump to the mausoleum, where Chuck earlier was told to choke a chicken. Spider and Tina, still holding hands, are the first to discover the almost shin-deep pool of brown, muddy water as they quickly head towards the raised cement steps. Scuzz splashes wildly close behind them, his long trench coat dragging through the unexpectedly deep water. As Spider steps to the top, he pulls Tina against himself, and at the base, Scuzz almost topples into the liquid but recovers enough. As Casey, Chuck, and Trash enter the pond, splashing their way towards salvation of the crypt's step, Spider works to make sure everyone is up, first pulling Casey further up onto the stairs, then placing his arm in front of Scuzz to try and get as many of his friends under the tiny cover. Tina now clutching to Spider. Chuck turns, steps to the side, and pulls Trash up into the tightly packed group. After another flash of lightning, Spider announces the Olympic event they will have to take part in to get to their goal.
Holy shit, we're gonna have to swim to get over there.
His arms now wrapped around Tina. Between Chuck and Trash, Casey pushes her head forwards to look around. Then they hear it. A gurgling, moaning sound. It's obvious that they all hear the foreign sound, as eyes all wide, gazing around to focus on what it was or where it's coming from. Angrily and slightly fed up with the situation, Spider blurts out his inquest.
The fuck was that?
All eyes wildly looking around. Tina notices something and points, crying out, to alert the others.
No, you're dead!
We now look at the sea of grave markers, the unkempt grass being waterlogged by rain. A focal tombstone stands out from the others that are lit to just be viewed as their silhouettes, their surfaces being pelted by rainfall. A crossfade on a lightning and thunder strike zooms closer to this central headstone, just as the wet dirt ground at its base begins to bulge. As we push in once again on the memorial dedicated to William Willie Putnam, who died peacefully in 1891, a fleshless skull breaks its way through the surface. And that's where we end this minute.
Mhm.
All right, so again, we're dealing with a lot of hurried action and all that sort of thing. From the description, you can see that it looks like something was cut out of this particular sequence. Like I pointed out, Casey actually goes to say something, but apparently they just suddenly cut to outside and they're running. But that pretty much will become a little more apparent in a few segments from now. So what did you think, Dan?
Really fun was the actual run, because it was pretty chaotic and often looking like they're about to trip and fall because the rainfall, fake rain, was really coming down on them.
Yeah.
And when Scuzz hits the puddle, it's like he's really going down. And
there was no doubt that he was going to face plant. If he didn't catch himself on that last little step, he definitely would have face planted into that water at some point. So yeah, you'd mentioned before we started recording about the rain and all that sort of thing. So yes, this is all an artificial rain. Dan O'Bannon in the commentary track has kept referring to the fact that they've had to use this giant system to constantly keep pumping water all over the place and all that sort of thing. And yeah, these actors were completely drenched for a good portion of this, and the fact that they're actually shooting at night is also another testament to this movie being done the way it was. And in the previous minute, Tom Matthews had pointed out that James Cameron had figured out a way to avoid doing his sequence that originally in the script had him out in the rain. How he came up with the idea of himself getting rid of his character was a brilliant way to avoid getting soaked like everyone else.
Yep.
But the constant downpour of this artificial water is just just a fascinating. It also gives it a nice look too. It's so well shot that it looks like it's like just torrential rain that has been nonstop for as long as it's been raining, which really hasn't been that long in movie time. And if things are running at pace that they actually currently are coming out, this has only been raining for about like 25 some odd minutes and all that sort of thing. So
But I took it as a supernatural rainstorm, so it was really coming down.
for sure. There definitely was oh no, there totally is something supernatural about this rainfall. That is for sure. All right, so over on the commentary track, which again is with director and writer Dan O'Bannon and the production designer William Stout. So after the talk about the rain machines from the previous minute, nothing is actually said until the group exit the United Warehouse gate, where Dan O'Bannon mentions that they did have to super in some rain here as well as some of the lightning strikes, but it works. William Stout points out the fact that they had money for the nice crane shot. And that's how we have for the commentary track for this particular minute.
Yeah.
It's which is understandable because when you realize that they had a crane shot for this particular shot, you can't have the rain coming down that could ruin the rental item of this. So when we in a upcoming sequence, when we go to the work print, we do discover that there is no rain in this section. Though the ground is wet, the actors are running not in the rain in this particular sequence, but once you actually get to the actual cemetery, they're then again being doused by actual rain and all that sort of thing. So the superimposed rain, like Dan O'Bannon had mentioned, it's just a one-time thing and that it works for the shot. So
Yeah, it's hard to even notice, really. Probably a lot more noticeable on the like on the I want to see
the 4K?
Yeah, the 4K because
Yeah.
The one thing I have trouble with the new movies and everything, I argue that it's too clear and everything's too crisp. So every mistake stands out like the sorest thumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the old movies, what made them so good was
you didn't get to see exactly
layers to it.
Yeah. I will mention that like two episodes ago with Ahmed and Natasha, they had pointed out that they currently are they have the 4K version of the movie, and there was a discrepancy between how they thought the color looked of Freddy's tongue and from my version of it, which is a DVD, which is the Blu-ray version of it, seems to be we both figured it was an orange tongue that he had, but she seemed to, this is Natasha, who knows color theory as being the artist that she is, that she had a little more detail of what it looked like, and it seemed to be a little more expressive than the version that I was able to see. So it's kind of neat to see how a difference between DVD and Blu-ray and 4K is for one particular movie is so different between the different versions. But again, they were also saying how Freddy's makeup was looking a little bit on the cakey side sort of thing with the sweat and all that, but on my Blu-ray version it looked perfectly fine. Mind you, I don't have a nice big giant high definition television that I'm watching on as well, which also definitely it assists that as well. Yeah. All right.
The things I even noticed, like in Star Wars, even like it just the changes that come from like a low res to high res is like, oh, this is like, it's almost to me like ruining it.
Yeah, exactly.
I even go back to like VHS. Like I'm pretty sure I have this movie in VHS, and I could probably throw in and go see how the quality is now and how it should be viewed.
Yeah. Oh, it also depends on if it's a a full screen or a widescreen version of the movie too, because if it was an early version, it would probably be only full screen.
Yes, which is yeah.
Which would be interesting to see if it's just a full screen version or if it was like a pan and scan version, because
Yeah.
sometimes those are sort of interesting to watch as well. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, according to the script, which again is a story and screenplay by Dan O'Bannon, this is the revision from October of 1983, and it's based on a story and screenplay by John Russo, Rudy Rickey, and Russell Steiner. So, like I had mentioned in the actual description of the particular minute, there is the sequence where Casey looks like she gets cut off about to say something, and they cut to another scene. Well, the script actually has that whole entire scene, and it is actually that whole entire scene is actually relative to the upcoming work print comparison that I'm about to do too. So I'll cover partially two sequences with this one. So, interior warehouse night, storm outside. The punks, Tina, Meat, Dee Dee, Chuck, Casey, and Scuzz. Now, once again, the names do change for a couple of these characters. Meat is actually Spider in the final film, and Dee Dee is Trash. They are finishing hammering a bunch of nails into the cellar door. They get quiet. Dee Dee, oh God, what was that hideous, horrible thing? Meat, what the fuck do we do? Chuck, suicide is down there. Scuzz, oh man, he's gone. It ate his head. Meat, I don't hear nothing down there, do you? Casey, we gotta call somebody. Meat, who? Tina, the cops. Okay, see, I'm glad you said that, Dan, because I've been watching this minute to do notes, and every single time I come by that line, someone says, who are we gonna call? Inside my head, I'm always going, Ghostbusters. So thank you for saying that out loud, Dan.
Hard not to, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Tina, the cops. Scuzz, I don't want to call no cops. The cops will just kick our asses. Chuck, get out of here. Casey, we gotta call somebody. Meat, where's Freddy? Tina, he was gone. He wasn't here when I showed up. Casey, now here's where we get into Casey's line. Well, actually, this whole entire sequence. So here we go. Strap in, kids. It's going to be a little bit. Casey, that must have been him who went into the funeral parlor. Tina, when? Casey, a while ago? He was with some other guys. Scuzz and me saw them. Tina, well, why the fuck didn't you say something? Casey, hey, don't yell at me. It was Scuzz who said not to do anything. Scuzz, defensive. Hey, I didn't think it was him. I mean, what the fuck is Freddy doing in a funeral parlor? Meat. All right, listen. We'll go over to the funeral house and see if Freddy's there, and we'll call somebody from there. Scuzz. I don't want to call no cops. Chuck. Hey, get fucked. Scuzz. With your cop paranoia. We're in deep shit. Tina. Let's go. Get out of here. They turn and run through the darkened warehouse towards the back door. Exterior warehouse, night, rain. The six punks hurry across the back parking lot towards the cemetery. A tree limb lies across the middle of the streets. Exterior, cemetery, night, storm. The storm is coming down in sheets. The wind blows in gusts. Lightning flashes and explodes. The graveyard is running with mud. Slippery, slimy, horrible mud. The six punks come through the main gate, and Casey points across to the other side of the cemetery where the mortuary is. They start taking paths to avoid the pools of waters and mud. In the middle of the cemetery, they find themselves temporarily stranded by a huge lake of water. They huddle under the overhanging eaves of the large crypt. Meat. Jesus Christ! We're gonna have to swim to get out of here. Suddenly, out of the darkness and rain comes a horrible scream. The punks freeze with fear. Dee Dee, what the fuck was that? In front of them, out of the liquid mud, above the one grave, a pair of rotted hands claws into the air. Tina, look! Something there! Frantically, the hand pulls the compacted dirt out of the way, and a corpse sticks its head up out of the mud. Well, that's where they end this particular sequence. Now, When we go back to the big discussion about Freddy's location, you will notice that the lines change around a little bit. Obviously, the original script, it was Scuzz that was with Casey at the time, but we know in the final film it is Chuck. So we just switch a little lines around and all that. Now, as for the work print comparison, which again, we take when we're done filming the whole entire movie, we bring all the shots that we want to keep together. We get a long version of the movie, which we then edit down to come to our final version. For an example, the minute which we are dealing with in the final film is minute 49 to 50. In the actual work print comparison, we are at 58 minutes and 6 seconds, and this particular minute actually lasts until 59 and 57 seconds. So it's a nice big extra chunk. So again, most of it is that sequence where Casey then tells everyone, hey, I know where Freddy is, and that whole entire sequence before they actually decide to go up and leave. So that is actually filmed. They've shot that whole entire sequence with the appropriate actors saying the appropriate lines for their roles and all that sort of thing. So it works together finally and all that sort of thing. So it's like an extra minute of that. That whole entire conversation takes like an extra minute, which is kind of neat to say. So kind of neat to see. So in the final film, the soundtrack drowns out everything but the thunder. But here, as they're running from the warehouse, we can hear the characters yelling both encouragement and a need for haste, which is kind of neat. And as they step onto the crypt steps, the sound clearly indicating that they are made out of wood. As every sound being made to alert the cast of something going on, an off-camera voice gives a loud shout to catch everyone's attention. So yeah, so that's what we got for the so it's kind of neat to, again, it's a bit on the grainy side. It's hard to see at some points the work print edition, but it is kind of cool to see extra footage of this argument going on. Tina gets up in Casey's face, and Casey instantly gets very defensive of her decision to keep this information away. We do notice in the background that that when it's realized what they're talking about, Chuck suddenly realizes, oh crap, he messed up. So he starts like pacing, not facing the group. He turns his back on the group. But when Casey like mentions that Chuck was the one responsible, she slaps him and brings him back into the conversation. Yeah, so it's a really heightened situation and all that sort of thing. And then everyone now yelling at each other and then realizing, okay, let's get the hell out of here. And then we cut to obviously the rest of the film runs out the way it does and all that sort of thing. All right, so that brings us to the end of breaking down this particular minute. You got anything that you might want to mention about this particular minute, Mr. Dan?
Yeah, so like I said, this minute was actually, I thought, was a lot of fun because you get to watch the exciting run and the trip ups and stuff, which I thought were fun because they were like doing the whole spinning and stuff while they're trying to run. Some were in inappropriate shoe wear, and I always get caught up on the outfits.
Yeah, exactly. Or lack of outfits.
Yes. Yeah, I believe it was Tina in the pink outfit. I always thought it was kind of amusing because she stands out like such a sore thumb to the others.
Yeah, she finally gets to the point where she's going to be getting that outfit a little bit on the dirty side. So
yep.
Yeah, like you had mentioned, we had mentioned earlier how Scuzz almost trips over, and it's obviously it's his outfit that does it, that trips him up so much.
Yeah, well, his coat was dragging through the water all of a sudden, which I think really, his footing clearly went because it was a deeper step than I think he was intending, and then his coat dragged.
Yeah,
which may have been his saving grace also.
True. That is true. Yeah. So it's also again, this sequence also shows the almost instant bonding that these characters have after their tragic situation that they just came out of. How Spider, especially in this sequence, shows that he has become the like the mothering character. Like he is the den mother of this group now. He is the one that wants to see everyone get through this situation. Like he's pulling people up the stairs out of the water, holding everyone close and all that. Sure, like when he like runs off, he obviously would more than likely be able to outrun Tina, but he holds onto her hand to make sure that she keeps up with him and all that sort of thing. And it's just a fantastic thing to see.
No one left behind.
Yeah, no one left behind. No, they've already lost someone that is meaningful to pretty much almost everyone in this group. But yeah, so they obviously don't want to
That's
deal
true,
with.
actually. He was very significant to them for some reason.
All right. So on that note, we're gonna wrap this particular episode up. Thank you, Dan, for joining me for this quick but informative little
Yeah.
episode that we got going here. For the next little while, some of these episodes are going to be on the quick pace, but nothing much to do about it because it's just like people are running or whatnot. But it is a very crucial part because we are now setting up the realization that other than the guy that they just left in the basement, there's going to be more of them coming any second. So that being said, we're going to wrap this actual episode up. I want to thank you, Dan, for joining me yet again. Get you on again soon. Like you're one of my rotating regulars, which is always fun to get back with each and every one of you guys. Thank you, audience, once again, for joining me for this journey. Thank you to everyone who's listening to this wherever they're listening to this or watching this wherever they're watching this. YouTube guys, you are really the biggest supporters right this very second. So I thank you personally, not you individually, but as a YouTube watcher of this, I do. And we are currently still working towards our August 16th show that we are going to be renting out a theater, and we are going to be showing Return of the Living Dead on the 16th, which is the actual 40th anniversary. Plus, we're doing an episode of the podcast just before it. We were just looking again. Exactly. We are just doing a donation on our ko-fi.com/Planet Geek Pod. Any donations made towards us for that are going directly to the funds to actually rent out the theater. You can check our show notes for more information about that. And again, thank you, Dan. Thank you, audience. And I have nothing else to say except see you next Wednesday.
You've just been listening to a Planet Geek production of Do You Want to Party? A Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, or Letterboxd. Search for Planet Geek Productions. X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for Planet Geek Pod. Or send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Our closing music is provided by Night Chill. See the show notes for more details. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and farewell, fiends.
That's true. And yeah. And it was, I don't know. It's a pleasure doing the show with you as always. Little zombie update was the new one being Peninsula is hit, and it's the family from the series. It's part of the Train to Busan series.
Right,
So
right. You were mentioning that. Yes. And this is just new on Netflix?
Very new, just dropped, and
now is it it's a movie? It's a movie or a series?
It's an hour and 55 minutes, I believe.
Okay, so
it's a full-on movie this time.
Okay, cool. Excellent. All right, that's something to look forward to because that series, that I guess that sequence of storytelling in that era is kind of interesting. I mean,
Right.
Train to Busan came out of nowhere, right? To be
Yeah.
this fantastic movie. And
Did you have a chance to watch the clip I sent of Bruce Willis's new show? And that was
you mean Bruce Campbell?
Bruce Campbell's new show. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
I make that mistake a lot. Bruce Campbell's new show.
Yes, I did. Yes,
is
I
Patton
did.
Oswalt, which
Yeah.
again, I'll reiterate to everybody to push you. Try and get those two independently or together on your show and do a clip. Especially Patton, I think he would be absolutely hilarious.
You know what? You know, if I can, I mean, Bruce would probably be a little more difficult. I mean, I'm pretty sure Patton Oswalt would probably be easier to convince to do a podcast about a horror movie, but I'm pretty sure Bruce would be a little more against it, seeing he doesn't appear in the film.
That's true. But yeah,
But
he can talk about his experiences with
oh,
zombies.
for sure, about doing exactly,
his stuff.
exactly, yeah.
Make it about him.
exactly. Yeah, that'll be a 3-hour episode.
But it was so cool to me that they dropped it, and I watched it. I'm like, hey, wait a second, this is all about Return of the Living Dead in the pilot episode. That's pretty wicked.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of a neat thing.